Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to the INB show with your host, Slam Stapleton. I am your host, Slam Stapleton, and today we'll be discussing some Netflix news, some news that's fairly new and some that's fairly old. So let's just get into it, shall we? Starting with the Netflix increasing subscriptions after their crackdown on password sharing. So yeah, apparently a lot of people were password sharing, almost 6 million people, probably more. I know a lot more because I was sort of one of them, but also I had my own subscription and all that type of stuff, after it kind of got a little iffy to say the least. But needless to say, Netflix has increased their subscriptions after password sharing and all that type of stuff, and Disney Plus is actually going to roll out their own password sharing debacle and all that type of stuff, trying to increase their subscription services as well. Now, I personally don't necessarily think that this is good for the consumer necessarily, because this is quite big. I mean, the subscription itself is very expensive, to say the least, and for me personally, there's just not a lot on Netflix that's really kind of interesting anymore. Like, for instance, I don't know, the only thing that's really I'm wanting to watch anymore is like Stranger Things and maybe Glass Onion, the Knives Out franchise maybe, but there's just not a lot on Netflix that's really grabbing me anymore. And I don't know, maybe it's just because there's not a whole lot on Netflix to begin with anymore, and they're going to more of their, original content, and a lot of the original content tends to suck, necessarily. I rather prefer going to Apple TV Plus rather than Netflix, because it's just super expensive. I'm sorry to say, I don't think the price quite outweighs the amount of cancellations that this streaming service kind of details and all that. But of course, this comes after the first subscriber loss in a decade in 2022, but it has raised up to 238 million subscribers globally, which is a win for Netflix. I mean, I'm not dissing Netflix. I don't want to, badmouth Netflix. I mean, they're pretty, even though they crack down pretty heavily on animation and that type of stuff, they're pretty much the leader in animation right now. I mean, they released Nimona, which I can't even pronounce, I apologize, but that movie got some great reviews. It was dissed by Disney, but now, I mean, it's got its huge success over on Netflix and all that, which I highly recommend as well. But yeah, I mean, other than watching it with my girlfriend's subscription at her house, I'm not really gonna dive into Netflix anymore, because it's just kind of meh, It's just not really grabbing me a whole lot. I mean, they're gonna have to really, get a lot of consistent, win after win after win of, great films or great series to come out or whatever, but I don't know. I might double down and try to get, a Netflix subscription when the Stranger Things comes out, the final season or whatever, but I don't know. That's up to everyone's personal preference, I guess, but there's just a lot of streaming services these days. Also in Netflix news, if you are a basic tier subscriber as of July, you ain't gonna be paying that anymore. There's no more $10 basic tier. I mean, there probably is, but it's filled with commercials and all that, which Netflix also kind of implemented after huge cutting losses and, trying to get more money filtered through their, stuff and all that. So, apparently, you can't get the $10 basic tier anymore. The cheapest non-commercial option, which is the standard plan, now runs at $15.50, basically. $15.50. which is pretty expensive, which is why I don't have Netflix, because it's just too expensive. And I don't want to get hooked on a awesome show that they're just going to cancel, after a season. It's just not my forte and all that. I rather just have some good, consistent shows that I can watch that I know are going to be finished, like Netflix used to do, but now they just cancel a lot, I'm just sick and tired of it. And I'm not really going to sort of support this type of stuff. But then again, Arrested Development's on there, and I love Arrested Development, and unless the 3 seasons are on Hulu, which I think there are, not the non-Netflix seasons, which are kind of garbage to begin with. If the non-3 seasons are on Hulu, I might just watch that. Maybe that's the only thing that's really diving me toward Netflix these days as well. Stranger Things, there's the Knives Out trilogy that's going to come out, and Arrested Development. Those are the only real things that kind of grab me toward Netflix these days. But on top of everything else, a couple weeks ago, Netflix ended their DVD service. That's right. I mean, once they decided to kind of divvy up their thing here. I mean, I remember back in the day when their streaming service and their DVD service, they were trying to splinter off, and everyone just had a huge backlash over, but they did it, and no one really cares anymore, and a lot of people didn't even know that they actually still sent out DVDs by mail. But apparently, after its 16 years, they shut it down and sent out a number of DVDs through the mail for free to their most subscribed, people and all that type of thing, which I think is pretty nice, It's, the end of an era. I got my Netflix DVD, but so I'll have that always with me, always and forever, hopefully, without, anything happening to it, hopefully, but yeah. It's the end of an era. It's sort of sad, but it's kind of a peg in the wall when it comes to, physical media kind of dying out. I mean, the streamings, they kind of revolutionized it with streaming services. I mean, they became the first streaming service. So it kind of nails the last nail in the coffin first, like physical media, which is unfortunate, but it's sort of true. I mean, Walmart's kind of dwindling with that type of stuff. I don't know. It's just sad to hear, but as time progresses, it's going to, it's going to grow. I mean, things have to change. I don't know. It's maybe for nostalgia purposes, we'll get a Netflix DVD maybe in 10 years or something. I don't know. But anyway, though, guys, that's it for Netflix news. What do you guys think? Have you ever had a Netflix DVD? Do you even know what a DVD is? Comment, let me know, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. More vids coming your way, and hey, take care, guys.